Hello and welcome back to another episode of DLC. I'm your host today, Joey Fitz, and today we're talking about one of those mashups that you don't maybe expect to see happen in gaming. Don't know if I've ever expected to see it happen anywhere. Today we are talking about the game Tackle for Loss, which is Hotline Miami meets the NFL. But this wouldn't be possible without our friends over at Game.Press and the developer and publisher Indifferent Penguin. Thank you so much for the free review copy for review purposes. Couldn't do this without you. So what is Tackle for Loss? Tackle for Loss is a Hotline Miami style game where you play as an NFL player looking for their missing daughter. You start the game wandering through a house and tackling ghosts while you try and find your daughter's bedroom. She eventually tells you that you need to come and find her, and your character slowly descends into this blood-fueled madness in completely using NFL tackles to destroy his enemies in order to find his daughter. It's interesting, it's fun, it's pick up and play, it's exceptionally challenging, but it's a mashup that I didn't expect to see, but one that I'm really glad I have tried because it's very fun. The game is a 2D top-down action game with a really clever but simple pixel art style. There is a huge range of areas that you tackle these mob enemies in, from offices to graveyards to football pitches themselves. And I've already said the name Hotline Miami a number of times. We have a whole episode on Hotline Miami, so please check that out. The comparisons here are unavoidable. The game itself advertises itself as American football meets Hotline Miami. You enter a level and there are a number of enemies prowling around and using their set pathing. You have to burst into the room that they're in, avoid their gunfire and take them down. Now the main difference between this and Hotline Miami is Hotline Miami arms you with lots of weapons, whereas Tackle for Loss, you are an NFL player. You're wearing the helmet, you're wearing the pads, and you just have to tackle through them. The real kicker in this game is just like in American football, each mission is broken down into 4 stages, so 4 downs. You start off with 4 attacks for a whole level, and this can sound really daunting, especially if you see the number of enemies that are on later levels. But as you tackle through the early levels and take out as many enemies as you can, you gain XP, and there is a skill tree attached to this XP. You eventually get the ability with your character to chain attacks within a single down. So you could end up doing 4, 5 or 6 attacks in a single 1 down window. Once your 4 downs run out, if there are any enemies still alive, the mission is over and you need to start the level again. If you've played Hotline Miami, this is a familiar loop, except for in Hotline Miami, it's if you die. You come across ghosts, mobsters, dogs, ninjas. In Tackle for Loss, the enemy variety is there and it is fun. It's a silly game. I wouldn't take it too seriously. I don't think the game takes itself too seriously. But if you don't want a challenging game, this one might not be for you. I found it exceptionally satisfying as I was running through the levels to plot out the route I wanted to take in order to be able to take out a couple of enemies with a single attack. And in hitting the enemies with that attack, you get this enormously cartoonish blood splatter across the floor, which doesn't despawn until you restart the level or leave the level. And being able to go through the level that you've just absolutely decimated as your character, with all of the carnage that you've caused, is pretty satisfying. It's pretty fun to see. I haven't played an enormous amount of the game. I've played about 3 hours of it, but whilst I found it a really steep learning curve, it's not one that I felt I was wasting my time with. It felt like each run that I was doing and failing was my fault, and there was a reason for it, and I was learning from each iteration of a run. And I think that's good game design. I think if you want to talk about the real positives of the gameplay loop is really fun. The characters are varied, they are fun, they are very clear in what your pathing needs to do to be able to complete a level. And you know, the mashup itself, the two genres, American football, Hotline Miami, they're not something that you see crossed over quite a lot, and it's a really unique but very good mashup. I think if you want to talk about things that maybe the game could improve on, it's really hard to get away from how much this is Hotline Miami. If you played Hotline Miami, you know the story of Tackle for Loss. You are trying to work out all of the reasons that your character has found themselves in the situation that they're in, and with each mission and each mob that you get through, your character descends a little bit further into madness. I almost wish that Tackle for Loss had a bit more uniqueness in the way that it does with its genre mashup in its storyline, rather than being what I don't like saying it's a Hotline Miami clone, because there are differences, but it's really hard to get away from the comparison. I also think that some of the upgrades that you get with the skill tree aren't that useful, and I wish I knew a little bit more about them before I spent my hard-earned XP. There's one where you can throw a football in order to hit a wall or a car or any surface, and it'll distract the enemies and they'll head to that area. That sounds really useful, but it uses an entire down's worth of attack time to throw that. So in the time that I've thrown that football, I could have killed 2 or 3 enemies on the same path. Those kind of things are small nitpicks, and I think with how much the game pushes itself as as much as the game pushes itself as American football meets Hotline Miami, Indifferent Penguin isn't that worried about the Hotline Miami comparisons. If you want to pick up a game that's fun, doesn't take itself seriously, is challenging, and I think would be great for something like the Steam Deck, I think you could do a lot worse than Tackle for Loss. The game is out February 5th this year, so it's not out just yet, but you can wishlist it on Steam. Once again, thanks to our friends at Game.Press and Indifferent Penguin for the review copy. I've been Joey Fitz. Have a great day.